Hello everybody. Today I'm speaking to you from the Passaic County Arts Center. My name is Hernando Rico Sanchez. I'm a Colombian-born artist based and working out of New Jersey. I'm presenting here Tribulation, an exhibition that a collection of different years works. There are paintings, sculptures, two-dimensional works. I coming from an education in arts that came from very early age at my school, and then I was tutoring by a Colombian artist. Following after a couple of years of working in Colombia, I came into the United States and I joined the Art League of New York. And following that, I was doing my education and a BFA in studio art at the Cato University, which led me to do a master's degree in museum studies at the University of Alcalá de Henares in Spain. And I came back to the United States to continue with my career as an artist. My work always have work around the human condition. I like to talk about what persons live, and that doesn't mean how you live in your home, but the conflicts and within the person. Also, I like to talk about the conflicts in the countries, the war, the dissipation of people, the transitions of people to one country or another, either because they are fleeing conflict, or because they're looking for a better life, or because they are coming from poverty and they're looking for a better life. That brings the human condition really alive. Those contrasts as always make call my interest, because you can talk about human condition, you can talk about human emotion, transitions, changes in history. You also find images like the one behind me, which is Silence 2. This image is simply about solitude. It's a silence, a person that have crossed some type of emotion of upheaval, and it has to overcome it. So you don't see their face, because a person who's in silence, who's in some type of suffering, is always a little tight in himself. It's not always open to show everybody what it is about. It comes with emotions, and you have to read those emotions to understand the person. So the work kind of brings all that in between color and form. You see something a little bit different, like under Crossfire, which is based actually on a painting from Picasso with a little bit of what I was perceiving and what is warfare. So you see those people coming almost from hell, asking for help. They're burning, they're suffering, and they are in this of a raid of a world in which they can't find an exit because are constant under fire for some reason or another, or are in between a conflict that doesn't have anything to do with themselves, but with somebody else, but they are in between it. My creating process comes from initially understanding the topic. I like to research it a little bit, get deeper into the details of how things happened. And from that, I start choosing what kind of colors I'm gonna use. My palettes are not just free, although it does have a little bit of freedom and a poetic license, if you wish. So that leads you to start making questions and making choices. Those choices begin to be reflected in the movement, in the composition, and in the colors that I've chosen for each one of the paintings on particular topics. When I'm using three-dimensional works, it becomes a little bit more monochromatic, just to simply capture and manage the ideas a little bit differently, and have a contrast in between one is painting and one is three-dimensional, and the conversation in between both of those works begin to kind of contrast each other. So when you come into a room in which my works are presented, you will have a very colorful environment, but as well a very somber one, in contrast that will drive you in and around of the room, allowing you to have that conversation that I'm looking forward. Here we are with Un Secuestro, or was kidnapped. This is a three-dimensional piece, as I mentioned before. They are very monochromatic, and the tones and the colors that I choose to work on these pieces. None of the elements on these pieces are free. I choose to use glass and metals simply because they're very cold as a material. There also is in a box because it's confinement. We can see also I use a bronze patina, we use chain links, different metals. It's just the face of a person that is blindfolded, taking away their freedom, their hopes, their dreams are just simply taken away. The absence of the eyes is the absence of the possibility to see a freedom, to see the possibility of doing something for themselves or to recreate a life. All right. We haven't talked about a little aspect of my work. I do emphasize and put a lot of women figure into my work. I think women are a catalyzer for change. We don't see them often in power. Why? Because we believe men has to hold the power and they are the strong person to lead a country, to lead a company, to lead anyway. But when we see the constant on women, we find changes. We find also women have the empowerment of bring life. That's a change, a big change. Because as we construct a person, we can change radically how things happen around that person, and that person eventually will influence their surroundings at the place that they go. So the paper or the place of a woman, I think, is very important. That's why in this painting you see women, they are kind of collapsing, they are one on top of the other, they're being kind of left behind. It's been an afterthought, almost like a calamity in the world. And in conflict, women are prime targets. They are raped, they are tortured, they are used as an exchange coin for whatever reasoning they might be. So this kind of represents a little bit of that darkness of the conflict. We have also these unknowns that also use a little bit of that cubism in combination with abstraction, which you see women, they're naked, they are also in a contrast with that back of another women, kind of not wanting to look to the reality in which they've been exposed. If you think in World War II, how the separation between men and women was done in the camps, women was simply used for breeding, for feeding, for making clothing. Meanwhile, the man was working the land, was working on the aspects of construction in the camps, and really mistreated by the Germans. We see this same type of issues in other conflicts. You see the women is always treated with a lot of disrespect. This piece is absent tranquility because I do believe women need to have the right of choosing what they want to do with their bodies. As a result, this piece evolved in a combination and then almost a battle in my head between what religion, rights, and reality is. And religion tells you you shouldn't sacrifice a life. But when you come to reality and the day-to-day life, is certain circumstances which you have to sacrifice that life, either with the child or the women, because their health may be compromised, because the possibility of a continuity in life is also affected. There's many different factors that we have to think before we can actually impose a choice in someone. And we can definitely, as men, we cannot simply own somebody else's body, but we have to respect the choice of that person. It's their freedom, it's their body, it's their life. And so all those pieces that you see here, when we talk about conflict, when we talk about the human condition, we really have to make questions and of what we do as a person to enhance the life of others, how our own choices affect what we have around us in a positive and a negative way. Because it doesn't matter what we do, it always have two faces.